Welcome, this is the fourth in my series of travelling in Scandinavia top tips, and this video will focus on Sweden. Tip number one, Sweden has got so much to offer and it's much more than just Stockholm. Stockholm itself is a wonderful city, historical, lots to see, lots to do, fantastic place to visit. And there's certainly somewhere I'd recommend if you're going to go in Sweden. From the north of Sweden, where it's much more laid back, it's got great scenery, forests, lakes. It's a beautiful part of the world down the coastline. Obviously, further down south, you've got Gothenburg and Malmo, and over to the historic island of Gotland, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Visby. Beautiful place to go. There's so much to offer. It's very diverse and it's certainly worth exploring outside of Stockholm. Tip number two, where to stay. I focused my stay in and around the central station in Stockholm, and that was brilliant for me because it's great to get around. I came into Stockholm on the train. I was coming from the north of Sweden, so it was literally a few minutes walk to my hotel. And when I was leaving, I went on to Visby in Gotland, and I took a bus from the central station, which is again very close by to where I was staying. You've also got the tram network there. You've got the underground, the metro is at the central station as well, and there are plenty of hotels. Normally on the higher class side, so a little bit more expensive, but very good quality accommodation. And there's certainly some budget options as well around the hotels in Stockholm Central District. Tip number three, travelling. When you're outside of the Stockholm area, travelling via the train and bus network was very good, very reliable. Everything run on time, it's clean, it's efficient. So I would highly recommend travelling around via trains and buses. In Stockholm itself, there's a great network. The trams, the metro, the buses, everything is integrated, and from Stockholm Central Station you've got all the trains as well going further afield. So you can get tickets via an app online or at the ticket station, and everything's integrated. You just hop on and off the transportation, and I found everything to be clean and efficient. Use the metro to get around town, use the trams to go to tourist attractions as well. And as I say, everything's efficient, and highly recommend using the app to get your tickets in advance. Tip number four, train journeys. I found train journeys in Sweden to be very efficient. Everything ran virtually on time. Did a lot of train travel into city, and train journeys can be quite long because Sweden is a very big country. And you can have several hours travelling on the train, which is good. I enjoyed the travel. The scenery out the window can be breathtaking. Everything is comfortable. You've got sockets on the train to plug in your laptop or to recharge your battery. Wi-Fi was a little bit intermittent there. Booked tickets in advance through an app, and you can choose your seat as well, which is good, and just pay online. And you've got a buffet car as well, so if you want snacks and drinks, etc., that's all available to you. As I say, train travel was good in Sweden, very efficient, and well worth exploring outside Stockholm via train travel. Tip number five, credit cards are accepted virtually everywhere in Sweden, and it's certainly starting to become more of a cashless society, with plenty of outlets now not taking cash, will only take cards for payment. Make sure that you've got a card that will work when you're in Sweden. Yes, take some cash. Plenty of ATMs available, etc. But more and more places now are not accepting cash. So credit card or a travel card that you can access your funds becoming more and more important. The next tip, the weather in Sweden can be changeable. Certainly in the north of the country, it can be a little bit colder, snow on the ground well into May. So take a coat. I took a waterproof jacket just in case it rained, and the weather can be changeable. It can rain at any moment, so make sure that you're well prepared. But generally in the summer months in Sweden, it's warm weather. T-shirt, polo shirt will do. Certainly in the winter months you need to wrap up against the elements and ensure that you're warm. A nice woolly jumper or a heavy winter coat is essential. Tip number 7, language. The Swedes are very good at communicating in other people's languages. The education levels in most of Scandinavia is absolutely fantastic. People are geared up for tourists. English is spoken by virtually everybody in certainly the main cities. You will not have any problems at all with language barriers. And the Swedish people are very helpful. They give you advice, tips, help you get around, and give you the best restaurants to go to, etc. So certainly I found that the language barrier was not a problem at all anywhere in Scandinavia, and Sweden is probably the best of all of them in terms of speaking English. The Midsummer Exodus from Stockholm. If you travel to Stockholm during the midsummer period, then the city is virtually empty. A lot of the Swedes decide to go on their vacation and leave the city and head to their holiday homes, which is normally on one of the islands close by to Stockholm. And as a result, you have the city virtually to yourself. There's very little in terms of people around, and some of the businesses do close up at this time as well. So just to ensure that if you're travelling to Stockholm during this period of time, everything that you want to see is going to be available and open. Just do your research beforehand. Tip number 9. If you're going to Stockholm itself, the one place that you must go to see is Gamla Stan, the old town. It's one of the best preserved old towns in Europe. Cobbled streets, 17th and 18th century architecture. You've got the Royal Palace there, you've got the cathedral there. There's plenty to see and do. Lovely bistros serving great food there. It's just a short hop from Stockholm Central Station, and it really is a must visit if you're going to Stockholm. Wonderful place, lovely historical area, great cultural place to visit, and certainly highly recommended. So finally, tip number 10. Sweden has a wide range of food cuisines available. Certainly you can get food from all sorts of places around the world. Sweden itself is famous for its meatballs, mashed potatoes and lingonberry sauce. Also its pickled herrings, but there's so much more to offer as well. Do your research, shop around. There's food for everybody's budget. There's plenty of fast food outlets around the country, but also as well some high quality restaurants for you to eat out in. I chose a lovely place in Stockholm to have a meal, a ramen place with background jazz music. It was beautiful. There's also some great Thai, Chinese, Italian restaurants, steak restaurants. So whatever you want, you'll find it. Certainly in Stockholm and in the major cities, Gothenburg, Malmo, etc. There's lots of variety, but even out more in the countryside, in some of the smaller towns, there is a good variety of food to be had in Sweden. So, my overall impressions of Sweden were very positive. It's a great place to travel to. Diverse country, forests, lakes, beautiful scenery in the north of the country. Great attractions around Stockholm. There's lots to see and do. Over to Gotland, UNESCO World Heritage Site. Beautiful medieval town of Visby. Lovely trip across there on the ferry. But also exploring some of the other cities like Malmo and Gothenburg. All great places to go. Please check out the other videos in my top tips series, which include Norway, Finland, and Denmark. And if you like my videos, please press the like button and subscribe, which will help my channel. Thank you.